And so it begins.
Shall we begin?
So it begins. And now it begins.
So it begins.
And so it begins.
And so it begins.
Shall we begin?
Shall we begin?
And so it begins. And so it begins. And so it begins. So, shall we begin?
So it begins.
I can't tell if that was actually running well on my end. My computer is being slow, so I can't
It
tell if
looks
that
good
was...
for me. That was
Okay,
funny.
good, yeah. Oh man, yeah, I put all this, shall we begin? So we begin. I saw it so much. I'm like, I'm gonna put that into a freaking intro. So
That was great. I love it.
oh yeah, but yeah, good seeing you. So I got Melonie Mac as guest today. Getting back into live stream and getting back to connecting with YouTubers once again. So it'll probably take. So this channel barely streams these days, so it might take a little bit for people to actually come on into the chat here.
Okay.
But regardless, hello.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. It's good seeing you. Good seeing your progression too. I think when I was subbed to your Melonie Mac Go Boom channel, is like at 20,000 or so. When that was coming around, and you've shot up from there. So good
Yeah,
job with
almost
that.
130,000 subs now. I'm really excited.
Yeah, freaking awesome. That's good. And so do you still do your other channel? You still do the gaming one, right? I think.
So my other channel, my just standard Melonie Mac channel, I started that ages ago, and then that was just such a random channel where I did all kinds of different content. Sometimes I do gameplays of gaming type stuff. Then sometimes I like unbox some technology or like whatever.
Okay, figuring some of
And
that out.
then I did like random vlogs. I did all kinds of random stuff on that one channel. And how YouTube's algorithm has changed over time is that it doesn't favor that big a variety. It likes, like, as you know,
Like
like more of the
specific
niche
topic
stuff.
on there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that channel, even though I have more subscribers on it, I don't get as many views per video as I do on my Go Boom channel, because my Go Boom, like, the algorithm likes it. It is
Yeah.
more focused on that, like, nerd culture, entertainment, gossip type stuff. So I stick to that. But I still do upload like my stream VODs on my old channel. I was like, that's what I'll use that one for. Just like my gameplay streams, just upload the VODs there for everybody who doesn't use Twitch and who wants to see them. There they can watch it.
Yeah, that's a good way to do that. Yeah, I recommend, like, it's hard to figure out what type of content, especially when you're a smaller channel, to figure out what you want to focus on. But what if you ever get a video that gets the most views, then sometimes it's good to focus on that. That happened to me on accident, where on my Rookie Critic channel, like where I post mostly film related stuff, I did one topic on damsels in distress, like in regards to like Anita Sarkeesian, the like feminist kind of view on it and whatever. And then that got like 60,000 views. And I was like, okay, so let me just talk about that a little bit, the trope over here for a little bit.
Yeah.
And that channel blew up to like 3,000 subscribers in a short amount of time.
Wow.
And each video gets thousands of views. And I'm like, now why is that one? That's not even topical. Like, why is that there? But
right.
I'm like, okay, but to talk about something new on my channel, it gets, a little bit of views. Then that one, that's just a random niche thing, thousands of views. And I'm just like, okay, whatever, cool. That's how it works sometimes. But
it does.
But yeah, so yeah, your channel. So you've been on some live streams lately. I think I saw you recently on Camelot's one. I think was on that. So you're probably used to doing the shebang of talking about where you've come from with some of this. But I mean, a short run through for people that might not have heard that with like your GameStop and whatnot.
Yeah, so basically I've just been a gamer pretty much all of my life, and so I wanted to kind of get more involved in just kind of like the gaming community, but also the gaming industry in a way. And so it was like 13 or 14 years ago I started my YouTube channel, because at that time I wanted to do like I looked at someone like Jessica Chobot on IGN, and I was like, oh, that would be so fun to have a job like that. And at that time I was working at a bank as a bank teller, and I was like, let me kind of like just start a YouTube channel, talk about gaming, talk about stuff I like, to kind of come out of my comfort zone, because I was painfully shy. And so for me to do a job like that on camera, all that, it would have taken a lot out of me, out of my comfort zone. So that's why I started my YouTube channel initially, and just to interact with the gaming community and stuff, because I had always frequented like different gaming forums and stuff. And so So I did that, talked about games. Shortly after that, I like got an internship with Ubisoft, and I worked in the gaming industry for quite a while. And then my YouTube channel grew, and I was able to like be more independent, focused on that, and then focus on like hosting gigs that I did for different contracts, like with GameStop TV. I did for about 4 years, and I used to host for like Riot Games as well for their League of Legends all chat show, stuff like that. I did a lot of that for years. And then I got canceled.
Right.
Canceled on the internet because during like the coof, all that, I don't know how strict YouTube's algorithms is with certain words and stuff. I still try to navigate.
Yeah. They change all the time anyway, right?
Yeah. And so during like certain mandates that they were trying to push out, all that kind of stuff, or I was against those mandates, and then also I wasn't jabbed, and I was like open about it, and so people canceled me for it. I lost about 90% of my connections within the gaming industry, fellow streamers, all that. They just dropped me like a hot potato,
Wow.
canceled me over all that. And it was a good and then well after that, it was a good opportunity for me just to like be more outspoken, be more vocal, share more of my opinions, because I had nothing to lose at that point. It was like I already lost.
Yeah.
I was like, I already lost most of my colleagues, all that kind of stuff over being canceled. I'm just gonna start being more opinionated, more outspoken, and not being afraid of who's gonna leave.
Yeah.
And so I started doing a bit more of that. And then, but the thing is people would call GameStop TV headquarters,
Oh my God.
email them, all that, try to get me fired over so even the most minor of takes that aren't that big, like me liking classic Lara Croft more than reboot Lara Croft, and people saying I'm internally misogynistic.
It's unacceptable.
Yeah. And so yeah, then eventually GameStop TV laid off all of their hosting talent. And once they did that, I was like, okay, now I don't have to worry about anything about like being fired from anywhere. I can just fully let loose. I made my Melonie Mac Go Boom channel shortly after that, so it's been a little over a year now, and it's taken off well,
it's
and
gone
I'm
boom.
really excited. Yeah, because at the time I thought, well, I've been more outspoken, I've been canceled, I'm not going to get the opportunities to host and stuff that I used to. I'm probably going to have to switch careers. That's what I thought I was going to have to do. And so I was like in the process of getting my nutrition license, because I love going to the gym and nutrition and stuff. I'm really passionate about it. So I was going to do that. And then my Go Boom channel started taking off, my streams doing well, all that kind of stuff. I feel like amidst a negative situation of getting canceled, God bless me and brought me into like a wonderful community of people who kind of go against that grain, against that approved narrative. And it's just like, hey, we're allowed to criticize things we don't like. We're allowed to speak out against things we don't like, and we don't have to follow this exact hive mind. And this is a community of people who are supportive of varying opinions, and so it's just been a blessing. Yeah.
Heck yeah. It's weird how the canceling effect like starts out with the huge negative drop, but if you like keep going with something, you don't let that get you down with it, then it can just turn out to be one of the biggest upswings going across there. I'm calling that the Van Sciver effect now. I think it's like having EVS, and it was like, yeah, dude, he's more known than ever after all that. So like I would never have heard of him if he wasn't on the YouTube area with stuff. And then that's cool that with you that it was able to work out in the end going with that. So
well, I think the thing is when you think about nerds in general, is like we're used to being rejects, outcast, all that kind of stuff. And so just because the nerddom space has been more mainstream lately, that doesn't mean, when you actually look at actual core nerds, people who grew up with nerdy hobbies, this and that, we're used to hanging out with the rejects. We're used to being the rejects. I know some people don't necessarily get that impression off of me now, but it was
right now. I got
but I mean, I grew up I was homeschooled like up until college. My friends that I made were always the rejects and the outcasts. And so I think when it comes to cancel culture and all that, it's just like a lot of us nerds, we gravitate toward each other who have been canceled. And even if people who haven't been particularly canceled, but they're just grew up being in that nerd space, they're going to gravitate toward people who are more rejected by society, because that's just what being a nerd was about before it went super mainstream.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, it's funny you say it like that. Like I grew up in a time where I was born in the mid '90s, and like I was in an area where being a nerd wasn't totally shunned on, but it was
Right.
like you have to also be doing sports to not seem as nerdy. So it was like
Yeah.
if you're playing basketball, then you go play video games or something. That's cool. But if you're
Right.
just the guy that's like playing D&D or one of those things, it's like,
Yeah.
hey, why is that kid doing that? Like, what
And
are
it
we doing?
depends on like what you play too, because normally like okay, the ones who but the people who play sports and play games, normally they're playing like um they're playing sports games, or they're also playing like Call of Duty, those like
Halo,
mainstream
usually something like
shooters.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're definitely a lot more accepted than, like you said, people playing D&D, people playing like RPGs, JRPG crowd, all that.
Yeah, yeah. Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon were my era of the
Yes.
stuff. So I was in the, oh, you got
Oh,
this
I
card and those ones and
loved
all that.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Loved it.
The card game was so fun, and but
Mhm.
they did a horrible thing by not having any concise rules be kept with it. And it's
Right.
like if you
All
try
the
looking at
different rule
try
types.
looking at anything now, and it's like no, that's that's homework. I'm not
I
doing
always
that.
like Battle City tournament rules, and I would
Yes,
play like
it's
there
nice
were
and
these.
simple.
Yes, Battle City tournament rules were my favorite to play.
Yeah, those were freaking awesome.
Mhm.
Real quick, what's up, Channel Starface? Good seeing you around here. Got the real Steven. What's up? He's a patron right here. We got
Hey,
Lancian.
Steven.
What's up? Good seeing you guys. Good seeing you guys. Come on in. Yeah, Melonie Mac here with the nerd history of the evolution growing up
Yes.
now, and it's kind of funny seeing it like that because like I grew up too where a Big Bang Theory is coming around, and like my
Mhm.
older sister like loved that show. And she's like, "Oh, you
Right.
love it." You know, she thinks like I'm the nerd. So it's like, "Oh, here's go watch this show. It's freaking awesome." And I'm like, "Okay, this is a little funny, but like
Right.
they're laughing at little things." And I'm just like, "What? Okay, I mean,
That's
I
what was so
guess."
funny
But it was
about
just
when
like,
yeah, when
yeah,
that came out, it's just like everybody in your life that knew you as a nerd, where they used to be, "Oh,
yeah,
you must love Big Bang Theory." They
that's that's your show. That's you. That's you on the screen. That's you. And it's just
Yeah.
like, I mean, yeah, like I'm smart and like to do the games, but like we're not. I'm not that. Just
Right.
like the playing it was like, no, 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 no way. If you ever seen the show Chuck, that's in a way not I don't even know if that's a better example, but it's like a normal dude who works at like Best Buy and
Mhm.
plays video games and he's like smart, but then like other stuff goes in his life and then he starts adjusting better socially. He's like, okay, that's a little better than like the Big Bang
Right.
Theory way that they go with all
That's
that. It's
relatable
like,
to me too, because I worked at Best Buy for a
oh
time.
really? Yeah. They call it the buy more in this show or whatever. Yeah,
Okay.
it's one of those funny things. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you said that you're really into fitness and stuff as well, and noticed that. I've seen mostly like when there's people that get really angry about you with that kind of thing, or like Eric July recently, like calling him fat and stuff. Like I find it funny with that because like I'm a chunky boy myself.
Right.
Like I
Right.
know like it's no harm in that. That's my own thing. I need to lay off the soda. That's the that's one of the
That
main
helps.
things. Yes, but it's like I find a lot of comedy with it too that a lot of people today try to avoid. It seems there's not as much
Right.
fat stuff that's funny, and so it's like I was thinking about like a funny thing that I could do for a short film that I'm working on right now, a little short film series. I'm gonna call it the Fat Speedster, and it's like what if the Flash was like gained a lot of weight, but he's got all the super
Yeah.
speed. Like, would he be able to? I can run.
Oh,
It's
I
just like
love it.
just out of it real quick, and it's just like, all right, buddy, like you got the superpower, but what are you doing? And like in my story, I'm having it be where like somebody's given a scale that gives them power, which is a nerd joke for a power scale.
Yep.
Right there, just like something kind of funny like that. I don't know. There's
I
you've
love
seen.
it. That
y-
reminds me of when I was like when I was a teenager, I did like because I grew up a huge classic Tomb Raider fan, and as like a funny, I designed a character, like I drew and like sketched out a character, and And she was basically like a Tomb Raider, like a Lara Croft, but she was huge. She was like 300 pounds. And I thought, oh, this is funny. I like this. This is funny. You can make her jump. Like, she can't jump that far, all this.
Yeah.
But the funny thing about it is at the time, when I had that idea, I thought, oh, that's funny. That's it. But nowadays,
right. Nowadays,
that's woke.
can't
But
do
it's
that
almost
as
like
much.
you can't laugh at it though. You'd have to take it serious.
Yeah. Nowadays that is not allowed. Oh,
Yep.
shoot, what I do here? Oh, I was gonna show a clip. That's why I changed it over
Oh,
here. But I
okay.
don't know where the heck I put it. So I had you see a dodgeball, right? Back in the day.
I think I've seen like clips of it, funny clips of it, but I actually haven't seen it.
Oh yes, I was thinking of this.
Fatty make a funny.
Like, oh dude, that was the best stuff back then.
Funny.
Or even back then, he had a good little line here for modern media.
That's the problem with the American cinema. Can't handle any complexity in it, Don't make me think. I just want to be entertained.
I just love that from his
that's
perspective
great.
in that movie. If you rewatch Dodgeball, that is one of the best like rewatches for the modern day. I would say.
Right.
It's freaking hilarious. Freaking hilarious.
Nice.
But yeah, so real quick, shifting gears a little bit. So the movie 65.
Mhm.
You said you haven't seen it, but you want to see it. You've heard conflicted things about it. You love dinosaurs. A little bit.
Yes.
The trailer, I don't feel sells it well enough, honestly, because
Right.
a lot of people thought that it's like some dude in the future ends up going through a portal and goes back in time, and it's like no.
That's what
It,
I thought. Yeah.
no, it's not really spoiling anything given
Okay.
this away because it's in the very beginning. It's
Okay.
65 million years ago. That's like why it's called that
Right.
essentially. And there's like a human civilizations that are in space that are around back then and can travel around. And so he's basically a space taxi driver or a space bus driver, I guess, transporting
Mhm.
people basically in carbonite. And something goes wrong. They're going into our solar system. There was a recent collision, so there's a lot more debris around, kind of like in Star Wars when after the planet blows up, there's a bunch of debris around. So they gets caught down by that, caught off guard, lands on the planet. He's the only one left, but then he's about to pretty much off himself. But
Oh.
he notices that there's a little girl in one of the pods that survived, and so he's got to go get her. And then he's like, "All right, I'm gonna get you off this planet." They're only escape pods a little ways away, but they're on a dinosaur land. And that's that's
Oh.
the thing. So it's essentially it's like to me it reminds me of The Last of Us in a way because it's like
Okay.
this is kind of the hook of the story is that you know it's not really spoiling 'cause it's right at the beginning. It's like his daughter dies. His actual
Okay.
daughter that he cares for dies. He's doing his job, tried to pay for her medical stuff. She dies. And so he's
Right.
got to watch after this surrogate daughter and get her
Okay.
across. He wants to get her to safety. And she's like a little bit of like high class or something, like not like a princess, but higher class citizen or something. So he's like, I'm gonna try to get you over there. But you gotta deal with dinosaurs
Right.
along with that.
Okay.
And that's the movie. It's an hour and a
good.
half.
All
It's
right.
just a good little short movie. It's like a mini Last of Us, is what I call it, essentially.
Okay.
Like that. So
Well, that sounds fun to me. I mean, I love dinosaurs, monster movie type stuff. I think Adam Driver is a really good actor. I
oh yeah,
like
he
him.
does really well in this. And he and
Yeah.
her are pretty much the only people in it. So
I love
that's
that.
that's it.
I'll have to watch it then.
Yeah,
So you liked it overall?
I recommend it. I don't know like what I'd rank it or how
Right.
good I would say it is, but I'd say
Okay.
I think it's an original film. Like I don't think it's based
And
off of a comic or
that's
off of a
good. We need
book
more
or
of that.
yeah, I don't think it's based on
Yeah.
anything. So go watch it at least for that because
Okay.
it's an original idea that like it's not that complex. It's not a huge
Mhm.
franchise. It's just a simple little movie. I don't think they'll make this into a franchise, but they might because Adam Driver's in it, so they might try to
Right.
do that. I kind of hope they don't though. I just wanted that
Okay.
to be that was a good movie. And if you have an idea that's similar where it's even in that civilization, just do a different movie. Like
Right.
that would be good. Yeah.
Okay.
How do you feel about franchises that actually end. That kind of makes me want to segue a second, like,
Oh,
because that's something that nowadays people struggle with because
yeah,
there's just sequels, and then there's just the remakes and whatever. Like, there's always a continuation, even from series that ended 20 years ago. They'll just, oh, here's a sequel now, or oh, here's another version of that, or here's a remake. Even Overboard got like a
right.
reboot, and it was like, why? It's what it was. What? Just do another movie. Like, I feel like if you're gonna go the route, like
Mhm.
Zathura, it like was pretty much Jumanji, but it was completely, it was the same premise. There's a board game that like comes to real life, you interact with it, but they're
Right.
not in the same universe at all. They're just
Okay.
different. And then they made Jumanji with The Rock, and it was like nothing like the Robin Williams Jumanji. But
Right.
they could have just called that like video game movie with The Rock, and it
Exactly.
would have been just as fine. It would have been just as good. So, what are your thoughts on
I think
franchises like that?
I mean, I like it when they do. Now, I think it really depends because there's certain different ones. Like if you look at Tomb Raider, which I'm a huge fan of, that is entirely built around Lara Croft going on adventures that can go on for infinity at the end of
Right,
the day. So that's set up for something that doesn't have to be completed and you can keep going with it. In terms of especially classic Tomb Raider, where we didn't have so much of a focus on Lara Croft's personal life. The story was purely based around that she was an adventurer for the thrill of it, and and that's what she lived for. You know, she gave up all of her personal life and abandoned all that for that because that's all she was obsessed with. And so you do have a formula where you can continue that forever, essentially, especially when you're dealing with artifacts that have magical powers and stuff, because then she could find like the fountain of youth or whatever and keep going forever, essentially.
hmm
So that works. But then you have other stuff that I do like to see a close, like an ending to it, like something like Death Note. You know, my favorite anime ever, that, you know, obviously had a lot of success, but it didn't have to just keep on going forever. They told the story and there was a nice conclusion there, and it's very satisfying and it's fun to go back to and watch again, you know, after some time. But yeah, I think that there definitely is a lot more room for more stories that actually completely tell the stories and don't have to
right,
continue. I think that even with something like The Last of Us, which we were speaking that earlier,
yeah,
I wish that the first game was that was it. I don't think we needed a sequel. I feel like the first game had a satisfying conclusion and it was already good as it
right.
was.
And then they made The Last of Us 2, the season
Yeah,
in that game, and yeah, it took the story where it was like, well, why was this the story that you wanted to tell?
exactly.
You had, it's like I didn't play The Last of Us game, but I followed a lot of the coverage of it and Mahler's
Right.
coverage of the game and the show and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I feel like, yeah, that's a great type of one solid story of like especially Joel's decision at the end is like, well,
Yeah.
that's like the most talked about thing I've heard of before I even knew what The Last of Us was. And I like that type of conundrum because it's a very personal choice that we fully get his perspective, but
Yep.
the whole world is in this different state with different people in different ways. So there's different things that people would choose. So that's like a awesome way to do it. And yeah, I think you're right. That type of story being the final one would be great because people would just talk about that for as long as they need to. That story
Yep.
doesn't need to have more answers. And that's actually a good example for like with Star Wars, that's the type of universe that could go on forever, but the more they keep on fleshing out with it, the
Yeah.
worse it kind of gets. And
Yeah.
it's like I think mystery is good in a lot of that
It
stuff. We
is.
don't need to know every freaking detail
I
of
agree. And
all of
then
it.
when I think of you know, talking about The Last of Us and speaking of like The Walking Dead, for example, I think one of the problems with that is that it just kept going. And it's like
Yeah.
if they and the thing with The Walking Dead, I actually loved the first like 3 seasons of the TV show.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. Um I it's funny because the other day I made a tweet saying like The Walking Dead is better than the HBO's The Last of Us TV show, and it isn't even close, which I still stand by that.
Okay.
But I strongly stand by that opinion. But I think a lot of people are just like, "What are you talking about?" Because they're thinking about later seasons, stuff like that. But man, I just loved the first 3 seasons, especially. So if there actually was some sort of better substantial conclusion, all that kind of stuff, and they were more on track and didn't like, oh, okay, let's keep this series going indefinitely for this many seasons or however many.
Right.
Um, yeah, I think it could have been a lot better
Yeah.
received. Yeah,
That
later
that
on.
that show might have been like I haven't had a chance to watch that show, partly
Okay.
because like yeah, it's one of those ones where you look at it, how many seasons is in it? And then there's like,
Oh, it's
oh,
ridiculous.
there's
Yeah.
there's a chunker a bunch. Wow, okay. Wow, okay. I don't know when I'm gonna watch all that. So it's
But
like
it's just one of
uh
those shows that after every episode, you're just on the edge of your seat. You're like, whoa,
yeah,
especially that first season, it gripped you, man. Like by the time you were at the end of the episode, they always had some sort of hook. They had
good
something that was
good cliff, good hanger right there. That's good. Yeah,
yes,
I
they
do plan
always did.
I do plan to watch the show. I do plan to watch The Walking Dead. So like
Yeah.
I watched The Last of Us show. I do
Mhm.
like the show, but I do want to see it makes me want to see other post-apocalyptic zombie scenarios because I grew up with Resident Evil as far as the
I
show.
love Resident Evil.
I grew
Yeah.
up with Resident Evil show or
Okay, the
the
movies.
movies,
Yeah.
the movies, and so that was my impression of Resident Evil and zombie stuff for the most part. That was like
Right.
my first impression of zombies was that, and so
Okay.
it's a little obscured. But honestly, I don't like the Resident Evil stuff as much. I think it's fun, but as far as like
It's very
what I
campy.
want, no, not at all. That doesn't explore
Right.
anything that I want to see with like character and stuff or what else is going on in the world. It's like, oh, we got this mutant evil government thing that's doing whatever. I'm like, no, I want to see like episodes that like, yeah, a lot of stuff I've heard of The Walking Dead. Some of the later seasons I've heard are do some interesting things in there,
Right.
but it's just scattered throughout. How much are you going to go through to watch and see
Right.
which ones are what? But yeah, that's a good show where they could probably break it up into chunks. Like if they did, okay,
Mhm.
here the first 3 seasons are in this time period after the apocalypse, but then cut to where's humanity in like 50 years, and then
Right.
like how much has changed or something. That'd be like going forward in time in a post zombie apocalypse era. That'd be interesting to see where's
For
society
sure.
in like 100 years after that. Like
Yeah.
are we all back to normal or is it worse? Are we gone? What is that? That'd be interesting for them to
Yeah.
explore. But yeah, I mean, I guess talking about franchises ending, I feel like sometimes we'd appreciate like the finality of something if it was finished rather than just, well, they're
Yes.
gonna make another one or they're gonna take these and do something. It's like, can we just have it be solidified as an
Yep.
ending? Like, did you ever watch Spartacus, the show?
No, I didn't. No.
That only has 4 seasons,
Okay.
and that's it. They
That's good. I like
they're
that.
done. It's solid. It's told. It's over. There's gonna be no more. That is done. And so it's like you can just watch the 4 seasons, and that's it. And I'm just like, I love that. It tells the story it wanted to tell, and it's done. They're not trying to milk it for everything that it can be. It's over. And
Okay.
I don't know that
That's
like
good. I
that's a
think more stuff needs to do that. I like more
yeah.
shows because then when you wrap it up and you have it all concise, you have the story, it's completed, people love it. When you're not dragging it out the longer you drag some of these stories out, the more you're kind of tarnishing the legacy of it. Whereas if they just wrap this stuff up and just had like really solid complete stories, then people are going to still watch more stuff that they make more original content instead of just, "Oh, I'm only watching this because I liked this before."
Exactly.
Then you can more latch on to the actual creators and say, "Oh, I know this is going to be good because this name is attached to it," type thing.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I
Mm.
feel like Star Wars was for the longest time. Like when the original trilogy was done, that was talked about for up until the prequels started. So it was like that having something like that. But I mean,
Mhm.
I'm glad that they still continued some of it. But it's like I don't know. Yeah, just I look at how many like oh, there's like 17 versions of this, and there's all the Tremors. That has
Yeah.
7 movies and a TV show. The first 3 aren't. The first one's great. Second one's fine. Third one is probably the weakest of that trilogy, but still funny. They have freaking
Mhm.
ass blasters that fart and fly, and it's like what do you? That's a little crazy, but
Yeah.
but the characters are what keeps that good, I would say. And
Right.
then you get into the sequel ones of that, and they pretty much go the Jake Skywalker Last Jedi kind of route with stuff, and they just make it worse. The designs of the graboids get horrible. like just the people in it are stupid. They're like, oh, you lost half a testicle, and it's like, what kind of joke is this in
Yeah.
here? An homage to the first Tremors where she kicks the water tower to distract the graboids. Some dude, he's gonna piss over the edge, and that's gonna be the distraction. It's like, what is this? What is this world? No, stop. But
Yeah.
real quick, what's up, chat? Soul Assassin's here. What's up? He said, can never get into The Walking Dead. Yeah, I feel like what year did that start? Was that like 2006 or 8 somewhere?
I don't
Somewhere around
remember.
there.
I didn't even start watching it until I want to say like 20, like it was somewhere within the 2010s that I even started. Well,
Yeah,
I can't remember for sure. I want to say it was right around when season 3 started is when I started watching from season 1.
I guess I was trying to think about when streaming became more popular and when that started on TV. So I was trying to think of when people would be more interested in catching something or going to a streaming service to watch it. So
okay, so apparently it was 2010 is when that came out. And I started watching around like I don't remember it, but it was by the time the 3rd season either started or was about to start, but I didn't know anything. I knew there was like the comic books and all that, but I hadn't had anything spoiled or anything like that when I started watching it, and it just I loved it. I know it's not like, especially since like I said earlier, whenever you continue something for a super long time and kind of tarnish its reputation, I feel like that's what happened with The Walking Dead, because back when the earlier seasons were out, it was just, I mean, people pretty much unanimously loved it and was like, wow, this is insane. Like that's what everybody was talking about every week. And so I think a lot of people forget or they just never or because it went on, it just left a bad impression of the overall thing of with it. But the actual first 3 seasons were incredible.
That makes sense. Yeah. Channel Starface said, again, that started in 1989. No, you think he's playing around with how long it's been around. I think he's messing around with that. But yeah, I definitely plan on checking Walking Dead out. I feel like the post-apocalypse setting is such a interesting concept because like take society, destroys it, and whoever's left has to deal with whatever's going on. So it's like that's a fun scenario. It's like if you ever watched the I forget, it was like one of those shows where it's like if everybody on Earth were to disappear, what happens first? I don't know if you ever watched one of those things. They would go through what happens to animals, like to pets, what happens to certain machines, what happens to buildings, what happens to whatever. It's like a world without humans or something is what it would be. And it would just try to explore what happens. And you'd see things like the train derailment kind of thing, where it's like what chemicals would be released and how animals might adjust and like that. So that in the shows and stuff, things like that, it's like, oh, what gas is around? How do you move? That stuff's kind of fun to take a look at. But I think I did have a question for you that I think fits what's going on these days, especially and with The Last of Us. There's a Mario movie coming out, game to movie adaptations. I like that. I feel like that's been a debating topic since they started that, like whether or not it was a great idea or not. I mean, you saw the first Super Mario Bros. Movie, right? The one from back in the day.
Back in the day.
The old school, like some people would call that a mistake, but I'm glad they made it because it's hilarious. But is it good? No, but I miss that type of bad when it comes to adaptations and like the original Mortal Kombat. I don't even know. I go back and forth to where is it really bad or is it just
I loved it.
Style?
I will stand by the first Mortal Kombat movie. I will stand by that movie. It was great.
It's one of the most rewatchable video game movies I've ever seen. I'm just like, man, how can you not have fun with, you will die and, katana, and just, those are $500 sunglasses, asshole. Just freaking excellent. Just excellent.
I mean, what I love about it is that it just like I feel like it has like the heart of the game in it, and that's what's important. That's more important than like changing everything for modern audiences or this, that, and the other. Is what made this, like when you really think about a game to movie adaptation, okay, what made this game successful? And stick to that, and like try to appeal to the fans, because I remember when the first Mortal Kombat movie dropped, and being a kid and watching it, and just like, wow, I loved it. It felt like the game. It and I loved it for that reason. And so I think one of the biggest problems we see from video game to movie adaptation is that these directors or writers, all that, they are so concerned about putting their own spin on it. They clearly aren't gamers themselves, and they're not thinking about, okay, what made this successful among the gamers who played it and loved it, and let's bring that back. We want to make them feel like, hey, this is that thing that they love, but instead they want our money, and they want us, they'll buy it, they'll watch it because it's tied to but we don't want to give them what they loved about it. We want to change it and reach a new audience. And that's my biggest issue with video game movie adaptations.
Yeah, they don't really try to actually. I mean, I feel like adapting the story. I mean, that's one thing that I find interesting about it. Is like, okay, there's different elements to playing a game than watching a movie or a show.
Right.
So it's going to be different no matter how you try to slice it. But I feel like so what you think, since we had mentioned Mortal Kombat, what do you think of the other remake they did with Mortal Kombat recently, the one that came
what's
out,
funny, I actually liked it, and I know there was different opinions based around it, but I enjoyed it for what it was. I liked that it wasn't afraid to be campy. And it was, and it was with the the finishing, like they did all they made it feel like it was a video game. And I liked that from it. It was, it wasn't like this cinematic masterpiece that's gonna, people are gonna be talking about forever. But it was a fun movie. And that's what I want to see with video game movies, especially, is just, I want it to be fun. Now, you do see a different dynamic with different how games are now versus what they used to be. So, for example, like with the Last of Us TV show, they've already got like the game itself as the blueprint that already told an amazing story and a very detailed, intricate story, which is a lot. So I feel like that was a lot easier for them in a way. With the TV show, is just like, okay, you've already got this right here. But even so, I think the game told the story better than the TV show has been. And I don't know, I have a lot of issues with what I've seen from the show. But but what I like is video games that used to focus on being a game above all else, instead of just a pretty story to watch. And adapting those two movies, the key component is you need to let it be fun. Let it be a fun experience. Don't be afraid to be campy sometimes. Don't be afraid to be cheesy if you're going for those type of games that don't take themselves as serious. So, yeah.
Right. I think that's a good point. I mean, that's the one thing, because when you play games, you want to have fun. When you want to see a video game movie, you want to have a similar kind of experience as far as like having fun with it. I mean, that's why I think the Mario movie looks good to a lot of people, because it looks like it's going to be fun. It's like they're not. It's not like a dark take on it. It's not like, this is Mario and he's lost everything. He's got to win back the kingdom or something. It's like no. We're gonna go a little different here with that. But no, I mean, I try, like, because I want to be a filmmaker, so I try to consider things in different, like, why they try to wonder, why is that what they did with the movie, especially when they have a game that shows what it is. And like, so I try to look at that, like when there's a lot of shooting segments in the video game, like how do you translate this to the movie? And I mean, that is where it starts to be kind of tough, I think, for some games. But I don't know. I mean, like that, I guess that's what I wonder is like, should there be some games that maybe don't need an adaptation? Or I think I've heard Eric July mention sometimes that like he wants to play a game, but like God of War, for example, probably wouldn't be a game he wants to play because they focus on like a lot of talking and story.
That is exactly my opinion as well. I have a lot of criticisms for where AAA gaming has gone. Because what happened is that, gaming went mainstream. And so now a lot of these, especially Western AAA developers, are trying to appeal to the mainstream, when the mainstream aren't really much of gamers. And what they want to see are they just want to watch a pretty story and have an easy gameplay experience. And when you're appealing to this like common denominator of newbie gamer who just have hijacked our hobby, because back in the day, if you were people are like, whoa, you're a gamer, wow, like they actually were impressed, because it was like you actually have to overcome obstacles and difficulties and challenges to beat these games, and that was part of the appeal of it. And so now games focus more, a lot of Western AAA titles focus more on story and pretty graphics than they do actual gameplay substance. And so something like God of War Ragnarok, and I get backlash for this, but I just won't even play it, because it's just like the appeal is the story. Like that's
Right.
pretty, there's not a lot of substance outside of that. And I know some people argue that, but ultimately, especially when if you've been playing games for a while and stuff, that it's different. It's a different feel. It's a story. It's more of a movie than a video game to me. And I'm just over it with that kind of stuff. I've been over it with Tomb Raider, how they've taken that route instead. Everything that made Tomb Raider back in the classic games, it's non-existent in the current games. I mean, raiding tombs is optional in a game called Tomb Raider, and the puzzles are extremely easy. The main focus is on this over dramatic story with Lara Croft and her family drama, which they completely changed, because in the past games, like I was saying earlier, is Lara gave everything up to focus on a life of adventure. It wasn't, the stories weren't about her. It wasn't about her personal life, because the exploration, the being a grave robber, essentially being a Tomb Raider, that was her life. So this whole change toward in the game, like a lot of video games now, is just, okay, let's tell these very dramatic stories, overly cinematic, super dramatic stories, and then you have sequences where you're slow walking just so you can hear characters talk to each other. All this stuff where I let video games be freaking video games.
Yeah, I feel like with what you're saying there, that makes me think, especially now, like with a lot of companies that have a lot of money to back it, like why don't they do a mix? Why don't they do a combo of like, okay, we want to make a video game. All right, well, we want to make a movie. Okay, let's have a movie team and a game team where it's like, I'm thinking along the lines of, you remember when the phase 1 of Marvel came out? I don't know if you knew, there was when they released Iron Man, they released an Iron Man video game. When they released the Hulk, there was a Hulk video game.
Oh, and Spider-Man, they had the Spider-Man games.
Some of those games are questionable on their quality, because they some of them were rushed and they're trying to be alongside them. But like if they had a more coherent team of like, okay, this is what the movie is going to be like. So like, we don't need to tell the same exact story with the game, but maybe like, okay, here's the blueprints for what story elements are for the game, and we can make the gameplay a lot different here, because it's going to be different spots that you're going to play the game as. And I think that maybe like with God of War, that might have been a good way to do that, so they can have the story stuff. Okay, make the story part the movie, so people are wanting to do this, and maybe they'll want to play the game after, where you're bashing heads of the gods and stuff like that. That would be a cool combo. I thought that's what they were going to do with the comic stuff, honestly, with phase 1 of Marvel, because I didn't grow up with comics. I was like actually shocked a few years ago going, they still make comic books? Like, I thought they closed down all the shops years ago. I don't know.
Right.
Whatever's out is just from collectors or something. I never saw a comic book shop in my town, so I have no idea. And I was like, when they're releasing all the movies that become popular, like that'd be the perfect time to sell video games and comics, I think, along with that. And it's like they just totally didn't capitalize on that. And
well, that when you say that, or that makes me think of is the Lord of the Rings, because they had games as well. But I remember like after watching Two Towers and then playing the Two Towers video game, it was great, and it was such a good game. And what I loved about like the Lord of the Rings video games is that even though they essentially told the stories from their movie counterparts, that wasn't the main focus. It was, you actually got to play the story, you got to experience the story, right? Instead of just watching fancy cutscenes, you played through it, for the most part. And that's what I like, is that when a game can implement a story into its gameplay, and with like classic Tomb Raider titles, for example, a lot of the story is the game. It's the adventure, and you're living it, you're experiencing it. And so there were some cutscenes in for they felt like a reward, but they were, dispersed, and they didn't take up like a huge amount of time.
I
Most of the
imagine like a
story was
minute and a half or something like
right. Yeah, they were pretty
yeah.
quick, and it was, and like I said, it felt like a reward. Like, okay, I beat this segment of the game, this area. Now I get to watch this cool little cutscene, and then I get to continue on this adventure. And the story itself is more so involved in the gameplay, and you got to experience it. And I like that a lot better when it comes to games.
Yeah, that reminds me. I didn't grow up with Tomb Raider, but I grew up with Halo, and Halo 2. That freaking story, like every after every cutscene, it gets you into that. All right, man, time to go. All right, we got to play as a freaking elite now. Yeah, let's go and see what happens. And like that, that made the gameplay and the cutscenes interchange awesome. And it gives you the option to go and find. You can like basically find a terminal, which is a pretty much clip you can watch. So it's like that's like an optional thing. You can go and watch some story unfold, but you don't have to. So for the people that want to play the game, you can play the game. You want to watch a clip, you can watch a clip. Cool.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting. I don't know. I feel like I was just thinking about that lately with the game adaptations to movies because I like Assassin's Creed. Did you ever do that either? Like Assassin's Creed has some great stories in there. Like the NCO stuff is pretty awesome, and there's some cutscenes in there, sure, and a lot of it. But you also do a lot of the gameplay, and a lot of the gameplay is fun. You're not forced into all the cutscenes until you want to do that part of the story, essentially.
Exactly.
So you can do a lot of fun stuff anyway. And so I feel like when the movie was coming out, I was like, oh, this is perfect. And then watching it, I'm just like, now how in the hell do you get that from that?
Right.
It's still like this far into video games and movies and stuff, and still not getting it. That's why I wish that they'd combine the efforts together to intentionally make a story like for the video game. Wow, we're gonna imagine if they did that with Halo. Like if they made a movie alongside the game, like so you can watch the Halo movies and then go play the Halo games. Like that'd be freaking awesome, right? Like that's what
I miss those times where that kind of stuff happened. Or as like, okay, the movie, and you got to experience the movie and then you got to play the game like that.
Yes, because you're thinking about it. You're in the mood.
Yes.
Get in the zone. It's like, all right, honey, we just watched the movie. Let's go play video games. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do that. No, we can skip dinner. We're gonna go play a video game. Yeah, but that was just a fun topic. I feel like that's something that just they need to work on that. We're in the 2020s, people.
Exactly. I mean, I think we might see some sort of turning of the tide to some degree, at least with like Elden Ring really made a huge impact in the gaming industry because it showed people that people want games to be games, and there's still like that core audience of gamers who want games to be games. And so it didn't have to hold your hand. It didn't have to have markers all over the place telling you where to go constantly. Didn't have to bog you down with cutscenes constantly. It was a game that is a game. And we need a lot more of that. And we even see like Neil Druckmann saying that he wants to take more of that kind of approach moving forward, which I think is positive because I wouldn't have expected that from him with The Last of Us, which are very cinematic titles.
Right.
So for him to be saying, okay, I think next game I want to actually focus on the gameplay and letting it be a game above all else. I'm just like, okay, I'm impressed. Maybe this will help turn some tides.
I'm hoping. I mean, it's in that kind of thing where with how comics aren't doing as good as they used to these days, the video games I assume video games are always doing well, but I feel like a lot of the companies aren't. Like,
well, some of them aren't, and one reason why is because when there is such a massive focus on just cutscenes and stuff, that drives the budget up dramatically compared to what if you're only focusing on the gameplay, it's actually a lot more expensive when you're getting like mocap, expensive actors to voice them, this, that, and the other, like all the fancy graphics and cutscenes. And so look at something like Tomb Raider again, which I'll talk about a lot and use for examples a lot.
Sure, of course, that's
but
fine.
like
cool.
If you look at the classic games, if you're even adjusting the budget with inflation, adjusted to inflation would be about $1 million budget for the first game, and it sold millions of copies. But then you look at something like the rebooted trilogy; those games costed over $100 million a piece, and so while they did, on paper, especially the first rebooted game, on paper it sold more units, they've struggled to even break even. And so part of that is because, okay, well, you're putting all this focus and all this budget and all this money into these fancy cutscenes, and people are playing the game. Or the thing is, with the rebooted games, you can just watch on YouTube. You can watch all the cutscenes on YouTube, and you're getting most of the experience out of it, because the gameplay there's not a lot of substance to the actual gameplay. And so yeah, that's another thing, is I don't even see how it's that profitable. It's like, okay, you hit the mainstream like you wanted to do, so you're selling more copies on paper, but when the budgets are that monumentally more expensive, it's just not.
Well, and then on top of that, I feel like they don't, like, even when they try to focus on some game stuff, I feel like they don't even do that well. Like, a lot of the games are pushed back so far, or they release them quickly, and then they have a lot of bugs and they don't work.
Yes.
And it's like, God, can we just play a game that works? Like, I remember back, in the 2000s, 2010s, I don't remember there ever being a whole bunch of games that, maybe one or two, that released poorly, but most of them functioned, and then you got all the stuff you needed for them to start. And that, that's probably a common complaint these days, of course, as well. But it's like, I feel like just the further we've gotten to this point, that there should be an integration of these mediums that all have the similar thing. There's video games, comics, movies. Those are the entertainment, right? Like, you could go to card games next, I suppose, and there's other mediums that people are entertained with, but those being the top three, like, I don't know, they should just integrate. I don't know why they don't have that work better. I guess they're trying to do that now in like a weird way with Marvel, with their crap comics that they make, and they want to make that into the shows now, right? Like, that's not what I recommend exactly, but I guess if they had a decent stories with the comics, then doing that to a movie, that'd be something. But I don't know, just the integration of them would be nice. Or if there's a company that strived to do that, like, we're going to make a video game, movie, and a comic all like with the same type of story, but it's going to be they're going to be adapted to the medium that fits them. The movie's going to play out like a movie. The game's going to play out where there's lots of stuff that you can do.
Yes.
And the book's going to read out like that. That's my thing. When people compare movies to games to comics or books or whatever, like, they are very different. In a book, you don't have to worry about sound effects. You don't have to worry about the acting. When you're in a game, you shouldn't have to worry about too much of the acting and stuff. You're doing the gameplay. You want that to function well. And so there's different things to focus on, but they just seem to always be disjointed. And it's just, but I'm changing gears up a little bit with that. Pretty much the last thing I wanted to talk about here. So you were in a fan film, and I'm a huge freaking lover of fan films. On this channel, like, I'll find a YouTuber that likes a certain topic, and we'll watch a fan film, something like that. So do you want to react to a fan film? Maybe.
Okay.
We've got there's different options we can pick from if you want to. Like, there's a Last of Us fan film that is like 13 minutes. There's your fan film, but I'm sure you don't want to watch that. But don't watch that one. But that'd be funny. There are some Lara Croft ones that I can pull up here and see. Let me see what you think. Here. Yeah, because it's fun to see. It's fun to see the creative side of these things, especially when we look at the versions that are out in the mass media, and then we look at what a fan can make with whatever budget they have, and see what passion they put into it. There's a big range from what I've noticed from when I've watched them. There's a lot of really good ones, and there's a lot of horrible ones. But even the horrible ones are fun to watch. So
Okay.
those are interesting.
I've seen quite a few of the Tomb Raider fan films. But I haven't seen some of the recent ones. Let's see.
Oh yeah, seeing Epic Rap Battles right here. Did you watch their Lara Croft?
Oh, it's funny. I didn't even watch that one. Like, I saw the thing is like, after, because of recent times with like the rebooted Tomb Raider and everything, so many people just don't have much of a grasp on Lara Croft anymore, because they've forgotten how she was created to be. And so a lot of times I don't sometimes I'm just like, do I want to cringe at everything they did wrong? Or
I gotcha.
Well, I mean, maybe they did a good job. That's actually looks like classic Lara in the thumbnail. So
yeah, it's actually funny. So like about a little over a year ago, I did a video talking about epic rap battles and their channel and stuff, and I was able to talk to them for a little bit, to Pete and Lloyd, and they mentioned that they were working on a Lara Croft battle at some point.
Right.
And this was around when I discovered your channel. So I was like, hey, I'll recommend Melonie Mac. She's like a Tomb Raider chick. And they're like, okay, cool. They looked at your channel, but they're like, so can she sing? I was like, I don't know.
I used to sing in my church. So I get a little bit. I'd be
So
down to watch the rap battle.
Yeah, okay. Now, let's see,
Yeah.
because I think they do for Indiana Jones. I think they do a pretty good version.
And maybe they did a good job with Lara on this. I don't know.
$69 US
see. I'll be
Special
critical.
Forces device turns men
All right,
into
we
beasts.
shall see. And
It emulates
good thing
54,000
about
These
good thing
videos-
about ARB is that they don't copyright channels. They
Oh,
they love
good.
reactions and stuff. So no worries about that
Good.
kind of a thing. That is awesome
Okay.
with them. From what I know, like I did a lot of research on with their process because they've been around since like pretty early YouTube, oddly
Yeah.
enough. So they've been doing this for a long time. They do a heck ton of research, and they used to actually be owned by Disney for a little while, through a
Oh.
Vicarious Studios.
Okay.
The one that they worked with, and then they went independent a couple years ago, and so they've just been funded by their fans essentially to make all
Right.
their stuff now. So they take a lot longer to make their own projects, but they put a lot more care into it. They used to try to make them like once a month, and now they
Right.
try to make them like once or twice, 3 times a year tops, trying to do that. So I'm
Okay.
hoping with this, so that's just context for you, that maybe they, have a lot of the older stuff and maybe even have criticisms of the newer ones. They do that sometimes. At least
Okay.
like for Indiana Jones, it's rapping against her. Like he'll probably have him insult her for the modern stuff.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then that's the kind of stuff. So
Okay.
here we go.
Sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends.
Upper crop bottles of history. Lara Croft.
Can you hear it okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I love that they went with classic Lara though. I love that.
Yeah, so what's the modern one look like again? Is she more clothed and a little
Yeah,
more?
she's got like the long pants and the depends on which one, what her top looks like. But yeah, just more, I don't know, just more basic looking. She doesn't have her like dual pistols or backpack or that iconic braid. She just looks like an NPC that got her own game somehow.
Oh,
So
man.
classic Lara is what's up.
Yeah, did they replace the guns with walkie-talkies or something?
She has a walkie-talkie. She uses a bow now. She'll use like
Oh,
a
geez.
singular pistol sometimes, but yeah, no. I mean that now in the first rebooted game, she'll have her dual pistols at the very end for just like a second to tease fans into thinking we're getting Lara Croft back, and then then not doing that.
I do kind of hate that thing too. Yeah, with a lot of remakes things, it'd be like, here's a hint at something you guys like, right? All right, that's gone.
They
It's
did
just like,
that so many times with teasing the dual pistols because they knew that's what the fans wanted to see, and they would tease it just to get you interested in what's next, and then they wouldn't be utilized. So it's just like, okay, so you just baited us with that.
Yeah, man, I feel like it'd be beneficial that you mentioned that. Like if they were to take, like if you're making a new movie or game, so have like kidnap some fans and be like, all right, so if we do this, what's that reaction?
Right.
Like something like that. But all right, cool. That was a good one. All right. And then do that, and then add things that way. So it's like, all right, have the writing how they need it to be, and then have it be that was also a fan moment. Do they actually like it? Okay,
the problem
cool.
with modern Tomb Raider is that it's a different developer than classic Tomb Raider, and so they're kind of bitter because the fans want the classic stuff, but that's not their stuff, and so they had to change things, and they want people to forget about the classic stuff because they're bitter about it, and they want people to just like their stuff. So yeah, it's very frustrating for fans.
Okay. Oh man. All right, let's see what we got here.
Indiana Jones.
Let's get this battle cracking. I'll leave you like a reboot. Flattened used to be the queen
See,
of
already. See, he's gonna be dissing her current stuff.
I
So,
love it
already. Love it. And also, that was a double thing. You reboot Flattened, right there.
you
Her
did.
design is more flat, as well as the reboot is not doing well.
Okay, this
I-
goes hard. I love
I love
it.
that. That's good too.
Be trapping.
Be
What
trapping.
happened? You got too woke to be fun. Now
Yes!
man, you kinda don't want none.
Yeah, this is actually
I didn't realize they're so based.
they're usually more neutral. This is the first time I've seen them directly stay woke
Woo!
in a rap. So
I love this. Man, I
This
feel
is-
bad for not watching it because I just assumed. I was like, oh, this is gonna be like I don't like modern Tomb Raider stuff right now, and I thought that's what it would be appealing to. I didn't realize this was
no.
so based.
You should react to this on your channel.
I
You probably-
know.
You probably like that. You can. That'd be good. That'd be good. Yeah, I'll do the react.
Now leave you like a reboot. Flattened. Used to be the queen of booby trapping. What happened? You got too woke to be fun. Now man, the anaconda don't want none.
Yes.
Voice.
The anaconda. Oh, that's great.
He's right. He's so right.
Oh, that's awesome.
Fun. Now man, the anaconda don't want none. Too many voices inside you. You burn through women quicker than I do. I think you should have dropped Hollywood as an option. When even Angelina gave you up for adoption.
Oh, that's a rose.
That's awesome. Yeah, this is I like this is the most recent the one they've done. So this is like their current viewpoint. I love that. They're like, you know what? I love it too because they were slightly a part of Hollywood for a little bit, brief time.
Right.
Brief time. And so they feel so much better being independent. Like it's so much better.
I
So yeah, you
love
should have burned
it.
Hollywood. You know, even Angelina put you up for adoption.
Yeah.
Angelina used to adopt babies and all the time. And I don't know why or when that was a thing, but that was a thing.
Yep.
They're so fun.
Let's cut to the chase. Wait, he died. I guess you couldn't tap the addicts in time. The bandicoot.
Is that a game reference to a guy named Chase?
Chase, he was in the comics, in the Top Cow comics, and he died. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that was capitalized here. That's one of the things because I watched the videos a bit and I've watched people that break them down. There's like hints in the captions
Right.
on the play on words that they do as well.
Mhm.
There's a capital Chase and there's like Chase X in time. Okay, is that person?
Yeah.
Cool.
You up for adoption. Let's cut to the chase. Wait, he died. I guess you couldn't tap the addicts in time. The bandicoot to your family's playing in ashes, kid. You got a tragic history of crashes. I'm trying to beat, figuring out why you're dressed for the beach. I've seen more class than the kids I teach. You can rise all you want. I'm still out of reach. So go grab your relics and run.
That's just that's sort of the classic look, but you know, for
Right.
this is
I
from
get it.
they do this from Indiana Jones' perspective too.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like so I think that fits his character would say that. So
Yeah.
that's pretty funny. And they got a little thing going on back here. Who's that supposed to be? Trying to see if I recognize the person in the back. I have no idea who that is.
Okay.
You verse me, is sword.
Oh, that's
versus God.
from the movie or whatever where he does
Mhm.
that. Okay. I actually haven't seen Indiana Jones since like early 2000s.
Right.
I don't remember. Did you have Indiana Jones?
I never got
fan?
into Indiana Jones, no. Which is funny. You'd think I would since I'm a huge Tomb Raider fan, but no.
I'm about to say, I mean, that's why they do the rap battle here because they're so similar, but
Right.
they're different. So they're like, okay, a good battle with these two.
Mhm.
But yeah, I never got into it either. I was like, oh, they're the Harrison Han Solo, and I'm just like, I don't know. Just like I remember watching them not being as entertained as like the little short round kid. He's like, okie dokie, smoky pokey, Dr. Jones. It's like, why is he driving a car? I don't know, but
Yeah.
but they seem to have their appeal. So I do like this scene right here. It's like I remember the scene where he's like doing a bunch of sword moves, and then he's
Yeah,
just, like,
and then you pull out the
shoots them.
gun. Yeah.
In the background, how it was really hot on set, and they were all tired, and Harrison Ford was tired, and so he's like, "This is just a quicker way to do the scene." So
That's
That was
funny.
great. good stuff.
More class than the kids I teach. You can rise all you want. I'm still out of reach. So go grab your relics and run. You verse me, is sword versus God. Honey, just the first 4 notes of my theme exceed everything you've done.
Dr. Jones, you're no rival. You've been getting owned since Give Me the Whip, Throw Me the Idol. Indiana.
And you like the voice so far? All that
Good,
Nice.
she's doing good.
British. She's
She's-
British, right? No.
She's doing good.
Everything you've done.
Dr. Jones, you're no rival. You've been getting owned since Give Me the Whip, Throw Me the Idol. Indiana Conda, for heaven's sake, you'd shit those dickies at a garter snake. You stole your famous other daddy jacket and Stetson from the coat.
They have like almost 200 dick jokes in
Yeah,
their in their raps. Just with that, but okay. I'm hoping that this is the new concept for the newest one. That'd be funny. They have that.
Hit those dickies at a garter snake. You stole your famous leather daddy jacket and Stetson from the cold dead hands of Charlton Heston. Some ladies mistake you for brave and hunky, but you're such a toxic date you could kill a little monkey. Marion is 15 when he raided her bones. That's no time for love, Dr. Jones. This is one temple that you'll never be exploring. You're not John Williams, so you ain't scoring. 3 decades in the game and my fans still adore me.
How do you like the outfit change here?
Yeah, see, I don't like the reboot
This
version,
the modern
so...
one? This the modern one? Okay,
Yeah.
they did the mix. Sometimes,
right.
Yeah, they usually have 1 to 3 costume
Like
changes.
classic, I feel like they got her personality well. And she's like, oh yeah, you can't have none of this.
Yes.
I like that.
That's good. See, I guess with this, it looks roughed up and dirty, which I think that
Right, yeah.
makes sense. But you're right, the actual outfit is plain. Like,
Yeah,
I see this too. I guess I see this too much in too many movies and shows where there's characters that are wearing no color, and it's like I do kind of just sometimes, even if it doesn't look like, oh, it doesn't look well. See, just seeing color in a landscape would just be nice sometimes.
Well, yeah, the classic games were a lot more colorful, a lot more like bright and adventurous, and the newer games are just all drab, dark, dull, boring.
I mean, considering you're in tombs, right? You're pretty much surrounded by brown or gray or black or white.
So it helps
that the clothing will help make it pop a little, right? When you're looking at it, I would assume.
Still adore me. You tried alien skulls and chose poorly. Your whole story got blown up on a sitcom. There's a big bang you can't hide in the fridge from. Hang up the whip before you crack a hip. I think even Mike wants you to.
I assume that was referencing Big Bang Theory as well. And then fridged.
Yeah, locking Winston in the freezer.
Oh, right, the fridge. I thought it was talking about like fridged the concept or something. Like you fridged the character because they're just there to get killed or something.
Hang up the whip before you crack a hip. I think even Mutt wants you to quit.
Just do it!
I kill dinosaurs for fun. What's another
All
old
above.
geezer? I'll lock this battle up like Winston in the freezer.
Yeah.
Belong in a museum.
I've served a full course meal of chilled Indian voodoo. And they don't even kill as many animals as you do. You're corrupting the youth. They should be outside, not trying to unload the barrels on your thighs.
That's a gaming joke, I assume. With that,
Yeah.
should be outside, not playing Lara Croft. No. I like that. Thinking of Harrison Ford saying that or something like, you need to go outside today. That's how he talks now, I guess. He's older.
Yeah.
Those pistols akimbo, but you're still the same rich backflipping bimbo. A rap with a treasure map, the catastrophe stuff in your knapsack with innocent casualties. Square Enix didn't watch anymore. That's why I dropped you like a J in the floor.
Was that to the old Pixel games?
He's roasting her so bad. Well, yeah, because Square Enix sold Tomb Raider off for a ridiculously cheap amount. Like it's embarrassing. Like for less than the budgets of the 3 games. Like
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So Embracer bought Tomb Raider recently. Yeah.
So,
oh my gosh.
So how many games did they have before they sold it?
Well, I mean, the Tomb Raider has switched developers and publishers multiple times already. But Square Enix didn't buy Tomb Raider until like right before the reboot era. So they've had it for like the reboot times, which has been like 10 years now. But so they sold it at like the 9-year-ish mark or 9 to 10 years, depending, because like they bought it before. So yeah.
Okay, wow.
You like a J in the floor. When they designed your core, they ripped my style and jiggled in a bit of girl's Polygon Wild.
You took 3D to uncharted territory. Now you're just in uncharted territory. Overshadowed
Right.
by straight line. Well, wait.
I mean,
Somebody
it's
used to
true.
make a tune for you.
Yeah.
They copied Uncharted's formula. Instead of like letting Tomb Raider actually be Tomb Raider, they copy the Uncharted formula and just don't even do it as well. So yeah, it's an inferior Uncharted now.
Oh no. Yeah, that sucks even more. It's like you already have an original game, and then let's copy that. Let's copy another thing. Let's copy that. It's like it's what Call of Duty's trying to do with like multiplayer. They want it to be like Fortnite and stuff. And it's like, no, don't do that.
Overshadowed by straight line. Well, wait. Somebody needs to make a tune for your old game.
If you want a top game sticker, sorry. That verse was worse than your crap on Atari. Aw, Fedora the Explorer thinks he's tough. You must have gotten dragged behind too many trucks. So strap some blocks on short rounds and pump the brakes. The only overshadowed thing is that face. I'm whooping you so bad I should get flagged for cheating. Like Muller ran with a heart and he's taking a beating. I'm the first wet dream game has ever had. You're a
All
hoe.
right, the Angelina.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. That's the Cradle of Life outfit there.
Was that the outfit for the game too, or just in the
No,
movie?
it's well, I mean, they had like in they had unlockable outfits in like the Legend Anniversary Underworld era, and they had one that kind of like was that basically was like a homage to that outfit, but it wasn't like a mainline outfit in any of the games, just from the movie and then unlockable outfit.
I guess okay, it's maybe a stupid question. So why this outfit? I guess I'm trying to think of so in the movie she was like a rich, she's like or I don't know, and going tomb raiding, she's in the more hiking gear. But is this for swimming?
Well,
Like,
yeah, this is for swimming. Yeah.
okay. Otherwise, I'm like, this is like a swimsuit, right? Otherwise, I don't understand. Like, I'm gonna go rock climbing in this. Like,
No, that
all
was
right, now it
for
seems-
yeah, that was when she was on the boat.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't for a fancy house party at the house, or it's not for this. So I don't know. That makes more sense. Going for
Costume for out of shape dad. Oof, my bad. Your dad was never present. At best, the affection you got was sloppy seconds. You did your sidekick.
Oh no! Oh, hold on. Was she holding on the back? What was that?
Oh, that was
Yeah.
a pickaxe.
Got was sloppy seconds.
What? Or right here?
Pickaxes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Those
Okay.
are in
Wow.
the new games. She uses those.
Okay, I wasn't sure because sometimes they do visual references, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
There we go.
Or present. At best, the affection you got was sloppy seconds. You did your sidekick, never met your own kid. Cause his mum cut you off like a rope bridge. You're a dog, Indiana, that's fact. The only thing you're loyal to's a hat, no cap. Your face straight melted and you lost that smolder. So make like a boulder and roll your ass over. Cause Junior, the baby boomer beating me up rapping, that's like my nude code. Never gonna happen.
I love it. I love like the classic references. Because yeah, that's funny. Whenever I was talking about the elusive nude code that didn't exist, but people still thought it did.
Oh, that was a thing. Okay.
Oh, that
wow.
was huge back during the classic days. People were just like, everybody was just like, don't they have a nude code in that game? I remember I talk about playing it, being like a teenager or whatever. And, oh yeah, they have a nude code, don't they? No.
people going on adventures, searching high and low, trying to find the nude code or something. No. That's hilarious.
That was great. That actually was really good.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, they have some good stuff.
They
Good stuff there.
surprised me because I didn't even bring myself to watching it because I was just like, I don't want to get mad at a bad interpretation of Lara Croft. But no, that was great. She did awesome.
Yeah, I mean they do, of course, they do reference some of the modern things, but like they do.
Right,
I
but
feel like they know
That
to
definitely
focus.
felt more classic Lara than modern. That didn't feel like. I mean, modern Lara. First of all, she'd be crying mid rap, so she don't.
Yeah.
She does have their.
Jones made fun of me. No.
So yeah, that definitely wasn't modern Lara.
Yes, but yeah, so yeah, have you seen their John? You probably don't watch Epic Rap Battles, I assume, but like they know to stick to the classics nowadays with stuff specifically.
Good.
Because well, the sequels and the reboot stuff gets more confusing, so they do usually throw a couple jabs at some of the sequels or compliments depending on what they are, but it's usually like one quickie, but otherwise it's all on the original. So they did the first 3-way one with John Wick versus John McClane versus John Rambo. Have you seen all those movies? Those
I've seen the John Wick ones.
John Wick. You seen Rambo or Die
Oh,
Hard?
Rambo back in the. It's been so long, I don't remember that much.
Oh yeah, they did a good one with that too.
Okay,
nice and fun, especially John Wick's little part or whatever. The guy they got to play him is freaking gold. But what's up, Justin Proper in here? He's just like, you can't believe you tricked me into watching an Epic Rap Battles video. Yeah, that's what I do, man.
That was good though.
Oh yeah,
that was good.
That's good. They're about to play through the classic Tomb Raider games again. They're so good. That they can always go back. It's a secondary 1991. That is a good move. Good move. Purple says Indiana was the family dog's name in Indiana Jones canon revealed in the movie with Sean Connery in it. Okay, that's like in the third one, I think. Yeah, Jones won big time. Yeah, probably. I don't know.
I think he did probably win, but she had some zingers in there too.
I think it depends on how much you know about each property to do that. They try to make it pretty even that each of them have really good disses to each other. essentially. And they're doing it to a beat. I mean, a lot of people go, that's not real rap battles or something. I'm like, these are better because they're entertaining to listen to and good beats behind it, and it's like substantive and layered. That's fine with me. To watch that stuff. There we go. But yeah, so that was that. I feel like we should probably wrap it up a little bit after that. That's hard to follow up.
That was great.
That type of a good beat there, and I had a great conversation. Thank you for coming on by, Melonie. This was fun chatting. What do you have planned going forward for your channel?
Right now, just keeping up this trajectory. It's been great on my Go Boom channel. So continuing to make videos on there, and then I brought my streaming back, which I took a little bit of a break. I don't know, it's been a little over a week. So I'll probably do a stream today. And then I really I'm in the process of possibly moving. So so I'm not like a set schedule for streams, but that will be happening in the near future. But yeah, that's it.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, you're not going to be in any more fan films anytime soon, are you? No, any secret?
not currently, but I'm sure in the future.
Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, it's good. So good with that. Everybody, her link is in the description below. This was awesome range of conversations here, and good luck going to you in the future with everything. And yeah, everybody, thank you for coming on by. Don't know when I'll have my next stream either. I'm figuring out schedules too. I don't like to have set times either, because it's like, you never know.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. But with that, everybody, have a great rest of your day.